All right, YouTube, this is Khi Turner, and the first episode we're going to do is based on credit score. This might be one of the most controversial topics ever, and that's why I'm hitting you with it. Got my trusty Pixel 3a right here, and got the cool graphs right there so you can see. And I'm gonna talk about all 6 areas, but mainly the 5 areas of credit score and understanding how to increase your credit score dramatically. I'm talking about even 100 points in a few months. You know, we're basically credit card companies, which you pay them to do. Essentially, this is gonna teach you how to do that yourself. So that way you don't have to pay anybody and you can gain your own credit score. Okay, first things first, hard inquiries. Now, hard inquiries essentially means how many times did you apply for credit cards and things of that nature? Loans, school loans, business loans, cars, anything like that. Every single time that, even phones nowadays, anything that accounts for something that you would have to pay an installment to counts as one of these inquiries. So they basically check with the bank, they check with your credit score, they see how viable are you to pay this money back, and if they deem you credible or not to approve you for that loan. But every single time they check, it goes onto your statement, which is kind of like a bad thing. You know, it's like when you're a little kid and you get sent to detention. Like, it's a mark that they leave on your record. Over about 2 years, it kind of diminishes in value and it becomes less and less meaningful. But that's point number 1 right there, is the hard inquiries. So let's talk about point number 2 is going to be total accounts. Now, total accounts basically means how many accounts do you have out of all of these accounts that are active or inactive, but it kind of varies in that. This counts credit cards, obviously, that's the big one. Cars count. Bank loans, pretty much anything that you have that attributes to something that you pay installments toward counts as an account. The highest possible number you can give for this in terms of excellency is 21. So 21 plus equals excellent score from them. But that's pretty hard to do with 21 credit cards. So they kind of plan you to do that with like 10 cards, 3 cars, you know, a couple of, returns, a couple investments, a couple loans, and then you have 21 accounts. So it's not too impossible to get 21 accounts. You don't really need 21 even, 16 is a good number, and you can just kind of finance your thing like that. But this means the more cards you have, the better. The more accounts you have, the better. So keep getting accounts. You want to have more and more credit because of the points we're going to prove later in this. Point number 3, age of your credit history. This is a big one, all right? And a lot of people are not going to realize that, but this is actually a really big one. What that means is all of your accounts, they have like a set date, right? So let's say your oldest account is 10 years old, right? And your youngest account is 1 year old, right? They average each other out. So the 10 year and 1 year would equal about 4.5 years. You see what I'm saying? And this is essentially how credit card viability works. So when a credit card company looks at you, they say, well, how old is your oldest account? How old is your youngest account? How many accounts do you have in total? And they average out all of your accounts and they see a mean and they say, oh, okay. The older your accounts are, the better, because that makes the companies look at you as like, oh, you're the type of person that you're like a relationship goals. You know what I mean? Like, you keep relationships with your companies, you keep relationship with your cards, and you don't just destroy them as soon as you get done with them. You're the type of person you stick in for the long haul. So it's very good to have a long credit history in terms of how long you keep these cards. Keep cards as long as possible, or accounts, loans, anything like that. You want to keep them as long as possible. Point number 4, derogatory marks. This is a big one. If you owe money to any company, it shows up as a derogatory mark. These obviously are not going to be good on your account, and you want to get these cleared away as soon as possible. With TransUnion, which is one of the credit bureaus, and Equifax, you can dispute any of these charges. So like, let's say it's been like more than 5 years, you can just dispute it and they'll probably get rid of it for you. If it's been less than 5 years and you actually legitimately owe the money, then you want to basically figure out a way that you can start a payment plan to pay these companies back. Because as soon as you pay these companies back, your credit score will directly skyrocket. I'm telling you, like, even like most of these companies like T-Mobile, maybe you owe a T-Mobile bill or something like that. And if you talk to the distributor, like talk to T-Mobile and say, hey, I want to pay that back, they'll probably work out a payment plan with you and, you know, reduce the cost from like, you know, whatever it is to like half the thing or a third of the thing, because some money is better than no money, right? So they're not mad at that. And when you start to pay off the companies that you owe, or you dispute the companies that you owe and it gets approved, it looks a lot better to a credit distributor, because then they're like, oh, okay, this is the type of person that's reliable, that they realize that they owe something and they pay it back. And when you have no derogatory marks, it looks really good, because it's like, okay, you don't owe anybody else money, so you're very responsible fiscally with your money. So definitely look at your derogatory marks. Make sure you take care of all of those. Like that, student loans is a big one. Attempt to pay it off. Like, you don't have to pay it all off, but attempt to pay it off. You know what I mean? Tell the company, hey, I want to put off X amount of money for every check towards this thing, and it looks really good on your statement. You'll notice your score will just start rising just off of that. I'm trying to keep this video short, but credit utilization, this is a big one. Credit card utilization means how much of your total money are you currently using. So let's say hypothetically you got 2 cards and you have $1,000 total limit, right? That means you have $1,000, $500 on each card, and you want to essentially use as less of that as possible per month, right? So if you make $20 of purchases, right? Let's even say you made $100 of purchases. Now, let's make it realistic, right? So you got $100 split across your 2 cards. So that means out of that $1,000, you have $900 left, right? So that means you have a 10% utilization, which is pretty good, right? You want to keep that number under, I would say 5%. 5% is excellent. 10% is very good, 30% is good, and so forth and so happy. You don't want to be above 60%. It just doesn't look good on your statement. And it's pretty obvious math, right? So when you get bills and things like that, don't pay the minimum balance. No, don't do that. Buy things paid off in full, always, every single month. Keep that utilization down to 0, 1%, 2%, 5%. Keep it as low as possible. Essentially, you want to have credit pay you money. That's how rich people buy things. They don't buy things with their own money. They buy things with other people's money. And essentially, you have that ability too, because with credit cards, essentially, you're paying off your own money. So as long as you pay it before the billing date, you're using your own money. You know what I mean? It's like that's extra money that you just have. You know what I mean? So make sure that you always keep your utilization low. You know what I mean? Like, you buy something, you buy gas at the store, wait a couple of days and pay it off. You know what I mean? And if you want to buy big things with it, let's say you want to use your $1,000, buy something that costs $800, but put $200 in right after you buy it, right? Then $300 a couple of days later. You know what I mean? So that way, by the end of the month, you're already gonna have it paid off. You know what I mean? So because think about it, it's the opposite of a debit card. A debit card, if you bought something that costs $800, you have to pay the $800 right then and there. You know what I mean? You directly owe that money as soon as you bought that thing. Credit cards basically is the same concept, but it gives you a big window to pay that. You know, you got a whole month, you got a whole 2 months with certain cards to pay that limit. So it's giving you that freedom, that flexibility to pay it on when you want to pay it. But don't exploit it though. You know what I mean? You get a month, you get 2 months, keep it light. That's credit card utilization. Sun coming back out for this one. Payment history. Payment history, pretty simple. Each of your installments, you're gonna have a set fee, right? You wanna keep this fee as low as possible. The light is better at this side, and I didn't realize that. I got the chest in the background. You see that? Oh, oof, aye, boof. All right, so that was random. Don't look at that. So payment history, right? That's how often you pay off your things. So like, if you pay every time on time, then guess what? It'll be 100%. But the second you miss one payment, that goes down to whatever it is, 99%, 98%, 97%, whatever. And then the more purchases you miss, the lower your percent is going to go. And the more you make up, the more it is going to go up. So you can if you miss one purchase, you can still bring it back up to, you can bring it back up to 99 or even 100 even over time. But it will take you a really long time to do that, because you only pay once a month, right? You only pay your credit card once a month. So even unless you have a whole bunch of accounts, it's going to take you a really long time to make up for that one missed payment. So you never want to miss a payment. Even at the worst case, even if you know you can't pay the balance, pay the minimum balance. This is the one exception to the rule when you want to pay the minimum balance, if you know you can't pay the bill. Always make sure you get your card paid. So it's smart to use these things sparingly, like almost treat it as if you don't have the money. Like it's good for things like long trips and things like that, because see, you use all of your saved money to now book that flight. But it's not good to use it like an everyday thing, like, oh, I like this, you know, I want this stupid item that I don't really need, and then you go buy it because now you got to pay that item back. You know what I mean? Essentially, it's exactly like debit in that sense, and if you use it like that, because you're just buying things that you already could buy with normal money. So this is course number 1 of budgeting. I hope you got something out of it. This is the 6 areas that credit card companies, credit bureaus look at when they evaluate your credit score. If you follow these 6 things, you definitely will get a better score just off the rip. And I know there's gonna be a lot of people that have questions in the comment section below. Write them in there. You can actually at me on any of the social medias, Khi Turner. It's gonna be right there on the side probably. And hit me up. Let me know any question you got. Write it in the comments below in this video. Like the video. Share the video for anybody that you know that needs to get their credit score up, or that wants to, you know, get more informed on topics like this. I'm gonna make a new video like all the time. This is something I feel passionate about because my personal credit score has skyrocketed up, and I want other people to realize that you can do the same thing, and you can, you know, live that whatever you want. You know what I mean? Like, outside of this, it's the same exact thing for me. Like I just actually, future videos coming up where I'm going to Spain, which probably by the time you watch this is already going to be already up there. But so you can do anything you want to do in life. Like you got to really believe that. And the step number 1 is like actually making yourself goals in order to get you to that place that you want to be. I'm gonna leave y'all with that, and keep it easy, guys. Have an aqua day.